Hey, James, welcome to the Get in the Mode podcast.
Hey, thanks, David. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Well, James, for the benefit of the listeners and audience, can you give us a little bit of an intro about Salo, about yourself, your
Yeah,
responsibilities at Salo?
absolutely. So I joined Salo last September, actually, and Salo is a staffing firm that really focuses on getting consultants to work, but it's a little bit different than like a temp to hire. So what we really do is we try to focus on understanding what consultants want out of a particular engagement, and we try to match up so that they have the best work environment and it's a great experience for them. That's essentially what Salo does. And I joined them as their chief information officer back in September after a 30-year career with Cargill in Minneapolis, and it's been a great ride ever since.
I'm in an industry that is high touch, relationship based sales, and even service delivery or product delivery, whatever it
Hmm.
might be, right? What is sort of like because I think you just described how you've done it at Salo. I'm
Hmm.
curious what sort of guidelines and principles that another CIO can follow in perhaps a different
Yeah,
industry. What's your kind of general
yeah.
approach?
So if I can, I'll give you two examples of that. So the biggest part of it is you have to know the business. You actually need to know the business to even make recommendations on how to improve it. Um, so that be number one. And number two, as a functional leader, if you can't demonstrate that you understand the business, it's difficult to get buy-in. And so those are kind of two key principles. But I'll give you two quick examples of how I do that. So when I started at Salo, one of the things that I did is I shadowed a business development director. And so I'm on the phone with him, right? He's showing me the talent. I'm
Right.
asking him questions. There's this one particular person he saw in the queue, and there was a job that another BDD was going to assign him to. And Dan goes, "Well, that's not a good job for that person." And I
Mm,
said, "Well, how do you know that?" And he said, "Because I've talked to him 100 times. I know that client is not the best environment for him. He's not going to want to travel." And so he goes down the list.
sure.
So that's then an example of me understanding how high touch Dan does
Yep.
his job, and he's really good at his job.
Right.
The other example I'll give a Cargill example, and hopefully your listeners are familiar with who Cargill is. And the role I was in, I was the CIO for our animal nutrition business. So
Got it.
we're in India, and the sales team is saying, "James, we need to upgrade our CRM." We go into a conference room, I'm making the visit there. They're doing the PowerPoint, and I stop in the middle of the PowerPoint and I said, "Hey, tomorrow, get your best salesperson and his manager, and tomorrow, let's just do his route." And
Right.
they look at me and they're like, "Well, why did we do that?" And I said, "Because I want to see how he uses these tools." And so the next day, we get in the car, we visit the vet, we go to the inventory, we stop at an internet cafe so he can upload his data. And so
Right.
we, and so by doing that,
Yeah.
I understood intimately why in that case, we needed an upgrade from a CRM perspective.
Kind of you're putting yourself in sort of like out of your comfort zone to be on the field, boots on the ground, to learn about, kind of experiences of the workforce and kind of everyday operations. How do you instill that value as a leader within your IT organization? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I would say there's a function that in larger organizations in the IT space, you may have a business partner function. And if you get too big, you kind of view that business partner function as the one that's interfacing with the business. And then it
Right.
becomes kind of this more of a ticket taker kind of a structure where they're bringing in to the machine of IT what the requests are, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so what I try to do is to help the team understand we're all business partners.
Mm,
So you've got to go to a sales meeting and you may not have anything on the agenda, but you're just there to listen and hear ways that we may be able to enable success. And so I
mm,
really try to help everyone understand that every role, no matter what your role is, I need you to be a good business partner. And here's what that means, right? You listen. If there are things that we can do, you take ownership to make those things happen. And it's this regular cadence of
yeah.
helping understand how we can enable a function or a business.
James, it's
Yeah.
been a pleasure having you in the Get in the Mode podcast. I'd love to have you again. Thanks for being with us here today.
Hell, thank you for the invite. It's a blast. I'm actually glad they were doing it on a Friday too, because it gets the weekend started just right. And I know I will, the next time I'm in your city, I will give you a shout for sure. And I'd
Sounds
love to
good.
join you again. Thank you.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to that clip from the Get in the Mode podcast. To watch the full episode of the podcast, click the link in the show description. Also, consider subscribing to the Get in the Mode YouTube channel to directly see new episodes on your YouTube feed.